Tonight's episode, The Endangered Species.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Dang it. So I finally looked over, and thanks for that. No sound. So how long have I been going with no sound? 2 minutes? That ain't too bad. Pretty much the whole beginning of the show, right? Dang it. So, yeah, that's pretty much 7 minutes of the show, but half the show is the intro. Dang it. All right, well, we're just starting here. So this is the stuff that we look at on Instagram each week to look back at what was focused on Second Amendment. I meant spend some time at the beginning of the show talking about some of the other platforms that we're on and taking a look at our Instagram feed so you didn't miss anything. All right, so we're going to start with this one that's about a week ago. This is Guns for Everyone, which is a CCW instructor up in, well, a CCW school, I guess, up in Colorado Springs, Colorado. However, their CCW classes are free. They offer free CCW classes, and this is an example of one of their classes when they're in high demand being filled to the brim. So let's take a look. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 24 plus students. That's pretty neat. They've done something like 10% of the CCWs in Colorado through this free thing that they offer. And in this class, or in this photo from last week, they're talking about strong attendance. And I posted in here, thank you for being consistent, which creates, with that tremendous effort, which creates the infrastructure that allowed this to happen. Because you don't get a classroom that can facilitate 25 students without putting a lot of time and effort into it. And a lot of times that's probably seems like, why should I be doing this? And this is the payoff. When people need it, then it's available to them. So big kudos to Guns for Everyone project up in Colorado. Then we got Rebecca Schmoyer. Start prosecuting criminals for criminal activity. Stop persecuting your neighbors for someone else's crimes. It sounds like some of this has worked to some extent. We were getting some results in, or some leaks about what the potential legislation could be. But I want to say we know what it is because it hasn't happened yet, and there's still opportunity for people to become involved and to interact with that. So now we're taking a look at Colion Noir, who posted about a week ago this post that is, I guess, comparing or contrasting Beto's posts, public statements from different times. So I'm not going to play the whole thing, but seeing that Colion Noir's got an audience of people who may or may not, probably are paying attention, but could easily be not paying attention. But he's a large enough audience that when he does post this Second Amendment focus stuff, it gets reach. And he's also got a production value that gets shared. So seeing that he's posting stuff, I don't know, it's interesting. And then is it timely? I guess, because people are going after ARs based on a perception that was created by Yahoo, like Yahoos like this, saying crap like this throughout the years, right? So one of the ways to address that is to shine light and focus on what they said, right? And give it some current perspective or whatever that would be, like current light. All right, so next up is an old picture of Ron Paul holding a pretty weird looking AR from back in the day, I guess. Is that an AR even? Might be airsoft, it's hard to say. It says, while I oppose most gun control proposals, there is one group of Americans I do believe should be disarmed, federal agents. So that's from a libertarian post that I follow, or a channel that I follow. Next is from Mom at Arms, and this is, who's Ryan Petty? Does anybody know who Ryan Petty is? I'm assuming some kind of political. The post says, I'm calling for responsible gun owners across America to join me on June 11th for Responsible Gun Owners Day at the range. I'm partnering with the wonderful folks at NSSF to make this a reality. So I think in reaction to, or to counter the BS propaganda move by the antis to go out and create a rally on the 11th to cry for, persecuting one piece of property from some people to solve things that barely happen. Instead, the NSSF is partnering with people or encouraging people to get out to the range and post pictures of their day at the range. So we're going to see quite a few of those actually in this mix, because this was one from earlier in the week, letting people know it's coming. As we get further through the posts here, we'll get to yesterday when a bunch of people actually posted from the range. So there'll be people encouraging you all week and then people participating at the end of the week. So earlier in the week, they also tried to take Orange. So they being the anti-rights, anti-gun people who attempt to move the perception of gun owners. One of the ways they do that is to take the color orange and use it as some sort of, call to action for their base. The reason they're doing that is probably, I don't know why, but one of the reasons they're doing it at least is that hunters used orange successfully to repel or push back against the intimidation and the persecution of hunting years ago. When I was a little kid, they used to go after hunters and say, why do you need to hunt anymore? We got restaurants now. Why do you need to have guns? Because you're going to go hunt all the time. There was no ARs to get rid of, so they were trying to get rid of hunters. When they want your rights, they don't care what you own. They just want your rights. So when the hunters were like, nah, we should be able to keep hunting even if there are restaurants, even if there are grocery stores. One of the ways they were able to stop the perception that hunters were reckless was by the industry and the community of hunters took hunter safety orange and incorporated it into their safety classes and into their culture. And now the antis are attempting quite literally and quite intentionally to pull orange over to their side, as if hunter safety orange is their idea or somehow anything to do with them. Now think about that. If they do that, stupid Bloomberg doesn't even have to buy a bunch of stuff because our industry has already created it in order to be safe or highly visible. So it's a bullshit move, and a bunch of people like FPC went after them in the meme department. So this is I Wear Orange campaign, where they're making fun of all these representatives and appointed people who have then gone on to either get gun charges of their own, firearms trafficking charges that they've created on themselves, or people they work with or their family. So I didn't post all of them, but I posted some of the good, or some of them, I guess. They weren't necessarily the best ones. I'm not going to take a minute to talk about each of these criminals who happened to hold office, who then did exactly what they created laws to prevent. But there's a lot of them, and I just don't care about them. Next is MD Arsenal. We talked a little bit about them last week. There's a cool gun shop in Maryland, and they had a popcorn place come out, and this is what it looked like, some kind of a pop-up popcorn place. I'm assuming they were cooking there, because usually popcorn places cook in front of you, so you smell them, and then you want all that dang popcorn. But it's hard to see. Definitely have everything ready to go here, and it's way more organized than some of the sloppy ones I've seen out here. But I can't tell if they're cooking or not. But anyway, fancy popcorns at a range. It's all about eating, and it's all about participating with people in the community that are pro-rights and collaborating with them in ways like that. I'm pretty sure we did look at this one because I posted this from the NRA show. That's the Wheelchairs for Warriors project. Then we got another of those I Wear Oranges. Again, one of the politicians that's corrupt. Tony Simon had his diversity shoot on the 9th on Thursday this week, and he had a raffle, $20 to his PayPal. You can still throw $20 at Tony. It's a totally valid project he's working on. He uses that money to make pizza or buy a bunch of pizzas for the people that show up at his diversity shoots. So you have people show up for 3 or 4 hours at an indoor range, usually in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, someplace, sometimes elsewhere, mostly in New Jersey, though, has people show up who may not be familiar with or comfortable with guns even. He gives them an orientation, familiarization, and then if they're interested, gives them some time to pull triggers, lets them see different types of guns, lets them meet gun owners, let them meet other types of new gun owners. And it's been a very positive project now for going on 8 years. She was out there sniffing everything, and this is a result of sniffing everything. She's got the sneezes. She's looking at me like I did it. I didn't do it. So this one is another representative who's corrupt, horrible, probably created some of the laws that he's breaking. This is a post from Triggerology showing, is that Castro, laughing it up, saying, what does a government do once it has disarmed its citizens? Anything it wants. Then we got Coleon again. There's a difference between a mass murder and a shootout between cops. The difference matters because one is some crazy weirdo thing and the other is a socioeconomic issue that makes up the overwhelming majority of gun homicides, and if addressed, would cause gun violence numbers to plummet. So that's what it's all about, getting the information out there that's relevant in different ways. So it's weird that he's posting it as a thing you got to read. I guess it's a tweet. So he posted this on the Twitter. Then he takes a picture of it and puts it on the Instagram. So you got to read the picture to know what it says, because the text on Instagram is something else and where he elaborates on it. So that's a good point, though, that they're going to use every time a trigger is pulled against us when we all know that there's valid reasons and invalid reasons that triggers get pulled. Let's see. So his text on this is, anti-gunners are trying to gentrify inner city gun violence and turn them into mass shootings. They do this to avoid accepting the responsibility that inner cities are largely run by Democrat political leaders incompetently. Not playing politics, that's just the truth. They know that inner city violence makes up so much of our gun homicides that if they actually did the admittedly hard and complex work of addressing the underlying issues in these places, American gun violence numbers would plummet. And if you listen to that, that's fucking stark reality there. So if they were to actually address the issues, which Walk the Talk America is great for championing and illuminating, but there's issues with the humans that cause the gun violence or the violence with guns. And those issues aren't the same with everybody, but they have common underlying issues. Usually it's being brought up in a situation that sucks, right? And how do you eliminate that? Well, you can't make everybody happy, but you can offer options for people so that they can understand, that their life matters and they've got options. And once you give people constructive options, they're not necessarily going to choose the destructive opportunities that are, the limited destructive opportunities. So the people who are in charge of that, the people that get elected from these areas in order to solve these things, don't listen to the own research that's the results of the research that they've created that says you've got to stop the root issues, the underlying issues, and then you don't get the violent extremes. And if they would do that, if they would actually solve those problems, then they wouldn't have the gun issue to use as a weapon against the people who aren't their constituents. And it's a frustrating part of what we're dealing with, and that's part of hacking this whole thing. Once we figure out how to make that part not hidden, then we've taken that power away from them and we've come on to the next issue. It's not like it solves it, but it gets us to the next step. All right. Kingpin jumped in and out. That's why they don't teach meaningful government classes. Yeah, it's frustrating, but don't have to depend on the government to teach government classes. There's places online that offer them. So, letting people know about those, if that's a thing, because that's definitely a thing. Citizenship, or what's it called? Yeah. Would it be citizenship? Like knowing, there's another name for that. Civic something, maybe, whatever that information is. Reshore some of the overseas businesses to, what does that mean? Reshore? Oh, you mean like bring back some of the businesses that went overseas, bring them back to Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, New Orleans, and Baltimore? Yeah, why not? I don't know. I'm okay with that. If they're good businesses. I don't like bad businesses. Bad business can stay in Europe. All the metric businesses can stay in Europe. We'll take all the good ones back. All the wholesome, good businesses we'll take back. All right, so then, anyways, I think Coleon's got a good take on it. and he's getting it out there to the skinny jeans kids that spend too much money on toys. Next, we get Guns for Everyone, 120 students in 2 days. We're expanding to new cities. If you're an instructor and would like to have more students, let us know. If your business wants to sponsor the classes, get more exposure, let us know. So that's pretty neat. I don't know if that's a video or not, but 120 students in 2 days. It's pretty cool. Let's see. So this is Diana Mueller posting that face when you hear someone say 90% of gun owners want universal background checks and red flag laws. So this was last week when people were doing their best to get the word out that these are not good ideas. The gun owners are not in favor of them. And I lost the thing. Boom. So this is Rebecca Schmoyer earlier last week before the big announcement, I believe. Let's see. And it says emotional blackmail attempt. Rebecca Schmoyer, I don't know what this means. See, when people post stuff, I think this is a tweet. I don't know what this is. It's some sort of a thing, and we're supposed to know what it is. And maybe it's a comment, or maybe it's somebody's mean comment. But it says, and does the Second Amendment apply to everyone? I mean, do 5-year-olds have the right to own guns? Spoiler alert, I owned a gun when I was 5, sucker. Next is another one, and it says, use the troll to educate others. So I guess it says emotional blackmail attempt, and then use the troll to educate others. And then I think her reply is, the right to self-defense absolutely applies to everyone, amendment or not. Now to your emotional distraction plea of the hypothetical 5-year-old, it would be unlikely that a 5-year-old would have the resources, physical strength, and safety training to effectively defend themselves with a firearm. That is exactly why responsible adults around the 5-year-old should be equipped and prepared to protect that 5-year-old. That 5-year-old's life is valuable and worthy of defense with the most efficient and effective self-defense tools available today, regardless whether you agree or not. And I don't know if you agree with the way she put it, but that's a way that she deals with the trolls, I guess you could say. But then it says over on the side here, some folks would have me ban trolls as soon as they pop out from under their bridge. That's just not my style. It takes a lot to get me to grab the ban hammer. This right here is the one reason why. Instead of immediately banning trolls, I use them to help educate others. We are facing the same statements and questions. They haven't come up with a new or compelling argument in the decade I've been advocating for our rights. Let me say that again. They, the anti-gunners, have not come up with a new or compelling argument in the decade I've been advocating for our rights. That's what Rebecca Schmoyer's opinion is. I didn't ask her that, so she told us that. Why not use them for training purposes within the rights appreciation and preservation community? When they comment publicly on a public post in a public forum, it's hard for them to say that we are the bad people for making their comments more public. So use them to sharpen your sword of response and rebuttal. Then share it with others who can learn and adapt it to their own. After all, education is key. When life gives you trolls, be a billy goat. Well, I know Clover was going to say something to this. Clover says proxy ownership. What does that even mean? You bet. Nothing wrong with teaching kids how to work hard to purchase their own property, right? At the same time, they are not legally of age, so that is where the proxy part comes into play. Parents, I see what he's saying. Parents would be the temporary custodians of said property. I just carried around my gun when I was 5. I was pretty responsible. That's the way it was back in the day. So that's another post. That's some people are like, Instagram, that's just a bunch of people looking at their lunch. Yeah, you can find that also. Man, I must have posted pictures of my lunch out there. But this kind of stuff happens too. Does this evolve the conversation? I don't know. Somebody's sitting at a doctor's office. Somebody's waiting in traffic. Somebody's a passenger in a bus somewhere. Somebody's waiting to do something, and you open your phone, you flip it over, and you're engaging in these kind of debates. You're witnessing these kind of posts and comments and additions to the post. Yeah, it could be considered to be a waste of time, or it could be a very effective platform. So that's why I take a look at it each week. Next one is, again, Rebecca Schmoyer. Is she paying me? Am I in the big pocket? Am I in the pocket of Big Schmoyer? What's going on here? So I don't know who this guy says. The media is telling you 2 major lies about this, blah, blah, blah. maybe a senator, blah, blah, blah. And then it says a thread on how the media is telling you two major lies about mass murders and gun control. Other countries with vastly stricter gun laws than the U.S. have higher rates of mass murders, and U.S. jurisdictions with gun laws have exponentially higher rates of murder violence. So, I don't know. I'm all for Rebecca, but I can't imagine what she's trying to get across with these. I guess, is this guy on our side? I can't tell from these little clips. And then her thing is interesting read indeed. I don't even know why I clicked it. Maybe I was clicking on something else because this one doesn't make any sense to me right now. I guess the idea, though, is they're going to say whatever they want because what do they care? They're not going to be fact checked by their own fact checkers. And once you put up a headline, they know that the headline is up there, right? So there's nothing, they don't care. There's no consequence for them. The consequence will be when people quit paying attention. So if Rebecca quit posting about it, I wouldn't even know who Andrew Follett is. Because guess what? As soon as I click this button, I won't remember who Andrew Follett is. I have no idea who that is. I know who this guy is. There's Echo out there. Welcome. Gizzard is out there. Gizzard does a long format, 4-hour show on Sunday mornings focused on guns. Often Second Amendment topics come up if people bring them up. He also does a long format show on Fridays. Thanks for doing that. Clover's out here and was in a comment earlier. And is anybody else I'm missing? If I'm missing somebody, Tactical FUD. I don't know if we said hey to you earlier. Domo is out there. So thanks everybody for showing up live. We run this on Sunday afternoons. Later on Sunday, maybe today, I'll be posting soon though, a list of all the different radio shows that happen on Sunday. But here's a short list of them. Gun Owners Radio out of California, which has Gun Prom coming up soon. You've got the Eye on the Target Radio with Amanda Suffolk and her brother out of Ohio. That comes up later on this afternoon. There is two other ones, the big ones, which I forget, Gun Talk and Armed American Radio. I believe both of those are up today. I don't listen to those two, so I don't know. And then you've got Come and Talk It, which is Mike. I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think of it. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank. But dude who owns a gun shop in Texas, which Clover doesn't hang out at for some reason. But Come and Talk It is a radio show out of Texas. So it's at 5 different radio shows today. Now, I'm not going to forget Liberty Watch Radio, which is not online. But I used to post that online actually for about 3 years. I think I posted Charles's Liberty Watch Radio online on its own YouTube channel. It's just at some point I stopped and I never got back in the habit of doing it. So that's 6 awesome radio shows. But then there's a 7th on Wednesdays. Rapid Fire Radio will record their 2-hour radio show. An hour of that gets syndicated around. So when you're done listening to this one, if you're looking for something to listen to, of nationally syndicated radio shows that stream their audio and video sometimes over here to YouTube. I'll be posting a list of all those and throwing them up on gunchannels.com as a schedule for people who might want to check those out with ideally some links to some back shows if I can figure it out. So now we're looking at Santee. She did a gun tube news back last week, I guess. This would have been I think it was last week after this, right after this show. I almost immediately jumped into here. I saw that she was live and no, this would have been last Saturday. No, wait, was this? It was one of the days. It was either right after the Ask Gun questions or it was right after this. And I jumped in since I was updating or pushing stuff on podcasts or something. Anyway, had a pretty good conversation. Looks like Santee posted that over here on Instagram. Coleon Noir, again, talking about Biden and some claims that are bullshit. I'm not going to get into it 30 minutes into the show because we've already had a bunch of Coleon's ones. But again, I like the fact that, I don't watch Coleon Noir stuff most of the time because he's usually talking about expensive toys to kids that have skinny jeans. But when he can take that focus and effectively throw it right back at the antis, that's awesome. So I'm liking it when he does that. He also does it with a reach that our people ain't getting. There's just not enough folks in that realm or whatever. Maybe there is on YouTube and I just don't know, but I only follow Coleon from back in the day. So I know that he's hitting what do you call them? Used to call them yuppies back in the day, like the kids that have these tech jobs that make all kinds of money, probably single, spending all their money on toys. And usually they're just useless. Usually they don't vote or nothing. But I'm guessing now that they want rights. They want to keep their rights, and they may still be in that 18 to 23. I don't know how old his demo is. It's good to see that he's able to pivot and hit those demos. All right, so then we get that same post. Why did I post this? Andrew Folliott says the media is telling you two major lies about mass murders and gun control. What is twitchy? Somebody know what twitchy is? We forget instead of maybe centering that availability guns. Yeah, I don't know what this is supposed to be telling us. But they're definitely going to see a lot of frustrating statistics out there. My advice is there's nothing you can do about it. So if you really want to do something, is make concise, accurate infographics, charts or memes and put them out there, right? What is this one? Let's see. Oh, that's a bad place. Let's pause it. What is going on over here? Guys talking about something? I made 14. I don't know. You made 14 of ammos, maybe. And then Gizzard's eating something. And then some kind of food that he's eating. $90. Oh, gun prom being $90. You can win tickets if you listen to Gun Owners Radio. Well, you listen, but Gun Owners Radio has the tickets, so maybe you'll win some tickets tonight. But it has to be expensive. That's to keep the riffraff out, keep out the poor people. A bunch of poor people going to the prom. What you could do is go to the prom, but just hang out in the smoker's porch and just smoke out there, like what happens in high school. All right, we'll go back to this, which is NSSF, like it or not, social media is here to stay. At the 2002 NSSF Range Retailer Expo, you'll learn the platforms that are right for your business by understanding the importance of social medias, establishing your brand standard, and learning how and why it affects your retail sales. With an effective social strategy, you'll be able to reach your community and beyond through discovering your brand's voice and utilizing key features on the most effective social media platforms. In this session with Brenda from White Birch Armory, you'll learn a variety of techniques that will elevate your social media presence, and you'll be able to walk away with a clear vision of how to implement social media in your marketing plans. Sounds like too good to be true. That's really Brenda's got to say about this.
Forward to seeing you all at the Range Retailer Expo in July. Have you struggled with what to share on social media? Maybe you're unsure of what platforms you should be on. I'll be sharing what has worked for us here at White Birch Armory and tactics you can implement to elevate your social media strategy. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at the Range Retailer Expo.
Well, Brenda, your watch costs more than what I make in a week, so we're not going to have much to talk about. The Shooting in the Woods podcast with Tony Simon, so that was on Monday. This was pretty good. Listen to them chat around, fart around. I feel like I mentioned this one already, probably on the weekly wrap-up. I think I got rid of smoking areas. They tore our school down, just rebuilt it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Because mainly we would, well, I don't know. Back in the day, you ditch out from the smoking area. Even if you didn't smoke, you could go to the smoking area and just leave. You can go to the parking lot and leave. Nobody really cared. If you tried to walk out the front doors, somebody might go, hey, where are you going? Let's see. I don't know what my high school is. That's interesting, guys. I'll talk about your high school. I don't live anywhere near my high school, so I have no idea what my high school is. So Rebecca Schmoyer has had an announcement earlier in the week. I had no idea what her announcement is, but it turns out that she's going to run for office. And she's just mentioning her announcement, and everybody, I guess, knew about it. Gary might know what she's running for. I imagine I'll have another post in here that'll tell us. Virginia Citizens Defense League is pretty awesome, and they use their Instagram as well as their other platform, some of the other platforms, and they do things well. This one doesn't have any comment. It just has the picture, which is kind of weird, but it has Honduras and Switzerland. Her Honduras on the left has 8.2 million. Switzerland has 8.2 million. It says that Honduras banned citizens from owning guns, and Switzerland says that it requires citizens to own guns. And then Honduras says highest homicide rate in the entire world. Switzerland says lowest homicide rate in the entire world. And the internet is telling, or Instagram is telling us this is partially false information. So the same partially false information was reviewed in another post by fact checkers. There may be small differences. Independent fact checkers say this information has some factual inaccuracies. Here's what's partially false. This is a misleading infographic about the gun laws and homicide rates in Honduras and Switzerland. No, that's all it says. Here's your fact checker report. Partially false. So off, stupid asses. It's just ridiculous. So obviously the narrative here is to put a false thing on it because they know that that makes it automatically look like it's flagged or tagged or something. And when you click on it, you don't realize it's just going to have the exact same information, which is null, which means it was useless. It was nothing. It was just a flag to put a flag on it. It's almost as if they're abusing flags. Why would they want to abuse flags? Nobody would abuse a flag of any type. Gizzard is saying that Rebecca is running for the Kansas House of Representatives, District 59. Right on. Does she happen to be in your district? Or you, what, vice versa? She could move. It's not too late to have her move over to your district. We could have a petition that she should represent Gizzard. All right. So this one is from Asian American Pacific Islanders posting about questioning where the dude got something like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost $8,000 worth of stuff with no credit. See, I thought it was with credit cards, but if it's no credit, then that's a question mark. I'm not going to play this because that'll probably flag me with the thing. So AZ Firearms has auction up there. Whoa, look at this. And they got some ammos. This ammos all went this week already. Look at all them black talons.
And this is pretty much a lifetime supply right here. One of the weirder ones that we have is some Samson 41 action.
That went for $40, I think. $40 for 3 boxes of 41. Yep.
For the exotic shotgun ammunition, we have some incendiary tracer slugs.
What?
They're 12 gauge, they're 2 3/4, and incendiary tracers. You know, that's about all you want to make inside.
Shit, I didn't even know about those. Damn it.
44 Russian, sometimes called 44 Smith & Wesson.
Can you hear that?
Hard to find. We have some PMC Eldorado 7mm Remington Magnum. Once again, 60 rounds is not a long time supply for a lot of people. And last but certainly not least, we have a bunch of 44 Remington Magnum. This stuff is black talon. This stuff's been discontinued for a while. It's getting increasingly hard to find.
Crazy. Could you hear that? That's crazy. All right, next is this one is from 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control, an organization that was created in 2013 or 14, maybe in response, actually in 13, in response to the fake organization that was created called 1 Million Moms Against Rights. So when 1 Million Moms started seeing that that BS was attempting to represent all moms, Rebecca and Mary started this, or Mary started it and Rebecca came along right away. But 1 Million Moms puts all kinds of good stuff up there. They repost quite a bit. And this is somebody who stuck a Cheeto into a sliding door lock in a hotel or something and says the government passing new gun laws thinking they are going to stop violent crime. And it's pretty effectual. I think there probably could have been a little bit better way to make that into a meme, but it's a pretty effective for people that understand that that would not even stop the door from opening. So Locked and Loaded went to Train and Learn 2 weeks ago now. So this is a picture of the girl part of them holding up a very small belt of 50. I feel like they should have given her at least twice or 3 times that many 50s. Come on. Come on, man. Let's see. So old Joel feels passionately about 9mm. Let's not remind him that the 50 BMG exists. Kellyanne is saying that's a whole day's salary right there. Mandatory carry posting there. He doesn't really watch this show, I don't think. Stephen Holbrook, researcher, writer, does quite a bit on the Instagrams lately. He was on the Gun Owners Radio not too long ago. This is a post where it just says, is history repeating itself? Stephen Holbrook joins the show to discuss similarities between Nazi-occupied France and Ukraine. In 2014, Ukraine was about to pass legislation on firearms ownership before Russia invaded. So I guess this is a post from Stephen talking about how he was on Gun Owners Radios and linking to the clip. Gun Owners Radio is like a 2-hour, maybe longer. It's a long format radio show. On YouTube, what they'll do is take their guests and chop them out of the show and then snip out even topics. So if they talk about some topic and then move on to another topic, they'll take that first topic and post it as a separate video. So it makes it really good for using as reference or to send somebody just specifically what it is that you wanted to mention from a long show. Not everybody takes the time to do that. It's cool that they're doing that. One of the radio shows I mentioned was Rapid Fire Radio. That comes from a gun shop called Cape Gun Works in Massachusetts. And they posted this. They got kicked off of Instagram. They keep saying they got kicked off of Instagram. They lost their main Instagram page, which has to be super frustrating with a lot of back posts. But they have a new page, and it is working. You can get it. But, they lost their back posts or whatever. This one is a very nice meme, actually. It's just got a kind of a stylized fire extinguisher and a Beretta, and a silhouette of a fire extinguisher and a silhouette of a Beretta. And it just says, how are these similar? And that is perfect because it doesn't try to force nothing down your throat. It asks a question and then it walks away. And I don't know how the red and black fit into it, but I think that's something in there too. So it's pretty neat. And I really like that meme. I think that's the kind of indication when a gun shop could have posted any number of things trying to get you to buy something, but they're taking their time to use their platform and the reach to their customers to get good information like this out. It's not beating the same old drum to their customers, virtue signaling, hey, we hate the same things you hate. We love the same things you love. Instead, it's like, hey, will this help you? Will this help get the point across to somebody you know? Right? They're expanding and opening. This is the kind of crap that I want to take time and mention these gun shops. That's the backbone of our industry. That's the backbone of our community is gun shops like this one. And they're using the tech, the industry, or whatever you call this, the technology, the socials to get that kind of reach out there. Then you got Booty Chicka Chook, whatever his name is. Don SSF is saying President Joe Biden, second nominee to lead the BATFE and E. Steve Diddlebick answered questions from U.S. senators in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. The hearing was held in the shadow of the incomprehensible tragedy in Texas, zero tolerance policy. Several questions for Diddlebick related to President Biden's announced zero tolerance policy against firearms retailers, and the president considers rogue. Firearms retailers that willfully transfer a firearm to a prohibited individual should be held accountable. The firearm industry agrees. It always has. Diddlebick explained the key to enforcement programs. It has to be fair, it has to be consistent, and it has to be effective. As a lawyer, the word willful implies something more than an inadvertent error. It implies an intentional misstatement. I have communicated with people who represent and who are in the industry, and I would commit to continue doing that, to hear all perspectives, to be a fair regulator. Assault rifle definition. President Biden, Democrats in Washington, D.C., and national gun control groups continue to push for a renewed ban on so-called assault weapons for the misleading terminology for semi-automatic centerfire modern sporting rifles. Which, where the hell did that come from? Now we got a semi-automatic centerfire modern sporting rifle? Come on, NSSF. Now, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican from the ARC, that's an old guy from the ARC, keyed in on this and used the time to question Diddlebick about his campaign for Ohio State Attorney General in 2018. Diddlebork supported a ban on so-called assault weapons, and it earned him endorsements of gun control groups like Every Town for Bloomberg's Money. Diddlebork couldn't define the rifle he wants to ban. I didn't talk about restrictions on assault weapons. I did not define the term, and I haven't gone through the process of defining that term. That would only be for the Congress if it chooses to take that up to do. Indications are the Senate may give Diddlebork the nod. Votes for the committee as well as full Senate could happen in the next few weeks. So this guy's an asshole, and basically NSSF took forever to document that he couldn't and wouldn't define assault rifle, meaning he could be defining it as any semi-automatic rifle that isn't centerfire, which is pretty much every rifle that isn't a pump action or a lever action. And then he says that he's going to enforce things consistently to whatever the law says. So basically he's being a robot, trying to be a lawyer robot. That's the worst kind of robot. Guess what? There's a system and you have to use the system. So guess what? That means a whole bunch of people that hate even thinking about it are going to go, oh, the system's rigged and we don't have to do it, blah, blah, blah. So guess what? You got to call senators and go, you know how I hate a bunch of other stuff that you're doing? Well, you're going to also want to hear that I also hate this nominee for ATF. So don't vote for that guy either. Yep. That's what they're doing, trying to wear you out by just putting a lot of effort at you. Just like in World War I, they tried to wear everybody out. Or no, in World War I, they were shooting at people. It's a little bit different. Shooting at people in the mud with diphtheria and smallpox everywhere. A little bit different, a lot easier right now than it was back then. So what is this? This is Tony posting about some guy who's making fun of Maj selling a t-shirt, saying that misunderstanding basically, and thinking that someone stole the picture of a black model and put their t-shirt on it, not realizing that the statement is from Maj and that it's his t-shirt. And then Tony, sort of like what we saw earlier, is using their attempt to troll or their attempt to what's the word? Marginalize, I guess. I don't know what the word is, but their attempt to be dicks against them. Tony says Twitter can be comedy gold when found. It's your duty to share it. Thinking Maj is a paid model is a compliment, but a little research, like click on the photo, would have taken the space cadet to their actual website. Since I hold the title of both the largest pound per pound gun bunny in America and largest pound per pound gun instructor in America, I'm going to claim being a 2A supermodel also. So Tony's having some fun with it. Then you got KD, all these smartphones, and many of you continue to select ignorance over understanding, perspective, listening, and true alliances. Too many people just want to be right, want to prove nothing bothers them, want to prove how sensitive everyone else is, and want to prove that no one should be fazed by anything. Tough guys, and we wonder why men commit suicide at an alarming rate in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So KD, bringing it to real and getting people with this. What is this? A picture of a contingent of Illinois Black Panthers went looking for a Puerto Rican kid by the name of somebody in Chicago's Lincoln Park, read the paper, and the street gangs organization had shut themselves. And so this must be some picture from the 68 from some gang rolling around after some other gang. I don't know. So basically, KD's saying that same story, different year. I think that's what he's saying. Armed Women of America. This is Molina, Texas chapter. Celebrated I don't know what that is. Something I don't know what it is, but 28 ladies got together for some event, and then afterwards had lunch, and it sounds like they went shooting. So again, got ladies changing the face of gun ownership out there, getting together and having a set of Tupperware parties. They play with different kind of Tupperware, right? Let's see. Gun Owners of America. Disarming Americans is not the way to reduce gun violence. What is this guy?
The whole hearings, we need to examine the underlying causes. There are some ideas that I think would be helpful in terms of hardening schools and some other ideas. Gun-free school zones have been a failure. Gun-free zones have been a failure. The Aurora Theater shooting, there were a dozen premieres of the Batman movie the night of the Aurora Theater shooting.
So again, when you want to just yell and you want to be satisfied with just yelling, there's going to be people that you can just point at that are yelling the same thing as you're yelling. You can say, hey, look at these guys yelling the same thing I want to yell. And that gets a lot of yelling done. Contrast it to some of the work that others are doing. I don't know. Gun Owners of America is certainly going to stand there and yell when necessary, and they're going to focus on the people who yell. FPC does it a little bit differently. We're a Second Amendment Foundation. Like, seriously, it's not like I'm not, just FYI, it's not like I'm not posting Second Amendment Foundation. Let's go find out. Let's spell it right. How about I actually spell it? Oh, close enough. I found it. No. Well, there's the 2AO.org. What are they posting? 7 hours ago? 1 day ago? That's that Ryan Petty one. May 31st. So 2 posts this month. And then if I can get Second Amendment Foundation actually open. You kidding me? Firearm giveaway from February 3rd. December 6, 2001. A Sig Sawyer post. And then Veterans Day 2021. What's up with that? 19,000 followers, 50 posts, nonprofit organization. They're not following anybody. I mean, am I following the wrong one? Is there a different one? Is it 2ND maybe? Second Amendment Foundation. 2AF maybe? I don't think I'm missing it. So I'm just saying, it's not like I'm not posting Second Amendment Foundations. They're just not posting. Going back to our saved ones here. It's getting close to an hour. I don't think, is there anything after this? Am I getting corked? We're getting close to the end here, though. Maybe not. Nope, we're not. Nope, not even close to the end. Not even near. Nope, we're still not even near. Nope. Oh yeah, I'm going way behind. So we're going to go a little bit faster since we've been going an hour already. University of Arizona Wildcats, because I think the school team here is called the Wildcats. So the shooting team out here. This is the way the kids shoot nowadays. They get these electronic things that give you your results. So you can't cheat, and the robots tell you if you won or not. I think that's 2 girls shooting. Let's see. White men are domestic terrorists and ARs are weapons of war. So if Americans war a zone full of terrorists, why shouldn't I have an AR? It's an interesting question for anybody who's getting that narrative and responding to it. So next you get Connecticut Citizens Defense League, using the old Uncle Sam deal. We want you interested in being a CCDL event volunteer. Contact Mary at, and then it gives their contact info. Then we get the artist formerly known as Budget Guns and Gears is now the leather work competitor to Ozzy. He's constantly fighting with Ozzy for who's the best leather working agent. So he started bringing robots into it. Now he's using a robot to paint pictures of owl. All right, that's a wolf and a deer. But these are really cool little gizmos for grabbing a frying pan. So if you want to grab a frying pan and don't want to have fingerprints all over it, grab one of them leather deals. So this is Come and Talk It, that radio show I mentioned out of Texas. It's probably either happening right now or soon after this show. Mike Cargill. See, I knew I would remember it when I wasn't trying to think of it. is the name of the host of that show. He runs a gun shop in Texas, and it's in Austin, I think, and has this radio show. Schrodinger's gun, simultaneous, useless against militaries, but also deadly weapon of war. So for those people that understand, is that physics, particle physics? This should get to them that they're idiots, because most of the particle physics people, I bet you, the people that think you don't need guns. You know, theoretically, if you didn't have guns, blah, 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 mass spectrum, blah, 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 violence. Then we got Guns of Barbecue. That guy posts every once in a while. He offered to have a workshop for talking to your representatives. And then he had one the next day with a workshop on how to be a 2A activist. So, wow, anybody that wants to be involved can have sort of a Tupperware party for Second Amendment advocacy by just hosting a place where people can get together and discuss ways to be an advocate, reasons to be an advocate, places and times to be an advocate. And then you become a better advocate. And by being a better advocate, you become an example to other people. And then a bunch of people that are lazy go, I guess I am lazy. Maybe I should be an advocate because it's that easy. And then the world's over. Done. Everything wins. We all win. Finish line crossed. It's over. So thanks, Barbecue, for getting that ball rolling. Pot of Gold auctions. I mentioned they do auctions on Tuesdays. They posted this one to let people know about this crazy little watch. It turns out that you take this watch and you have to crank a piece of paper into it, and that piece of paper pushes this weird shape into it, and that's how it determines that you've been walking around. Pretty interesting little tether to make sure that the night watchman is running a pattern. Pretty neat. So on Tuesday, we're only up to Tuesday at this point. We've got Walk Talk America was on with Ghost. So they had a pretty good conversation. They've known each other for a while. A lot of slap assing this time around, but they can't all be down to work, rolling up their sleeves and getting down to work.
I came across this video from Trevor Noah basically engaging in a soliloquy of sorts about his thoughts on the gun conversation and the gun debate in America. So I figured I'd give my own responses to the points he makes in the video.
Everything else America believes is possible. They're like, yeah, we're going to go to Mars. We're going to cure cancer. We can do it. We're going to do it. Then when it comes to guns, all of a sudden, certain people are like, it's impossible to stop it. You can't. There's so many. Oh, what are you going to do?
No, it's not that Americans think it's impossible to stop. It's that we don't believe making people helpless and unable to defend themselves is the way to do it. You're rich. You can hire private security to follow you around for 24 hours, 7 days a week. Most Americans don't have that privilege. So we own handguns, shotguns, and AR-15s to protect our families from criminals and our country from tyrannical government.
Always say the same thing, huh?
So nobody else is addressing that kind of stuff that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm missing stuff. So then the concept that they have to bring in a paid actor, literally, to embellish their position to is a pretty good indication that they're desperate, pretty good indication that they're grasping. Usually when you've solidified your position and it's in the bag, you don't need to hire people to fluff you up or to con people into your position. And then that guy left himself open to about 1 billion memes because he made millions. I think an estimated 5.7 million off of movies with guns. Locksack is a company up out of the Pacific Northwest. It's run by a girl, and it's they basically make a very heavy-duty double Ziploc bag, very reusable, very low-tech. It was designed for SEALs and for surfers to be able to take their wallets and phones and stuff out into the surf. So it's durable enough for SEALs. They use it, and like this, you can take your cell phone and put it in there and use it in the water. It's super good for boating and for anything you might be in the rain, hiking and camping and that kind of thing. Best yet, it's a super cool company. We've known them for a long, long time. We met them through USN ER Doc back in the old days. And every once in a while when we see them at the shows and stuff, we'll stop by and say hey and kind of remember, holy moly, back in like 9 or something. No, it had to be 11 or something we met them. So it's been a long, long time. Cool people. They don't post very often, so I was happy to repost that one. Los Angeles Police Museum is in this old police station. It's a super cool museum, and they happened to be closed one day for some technical issues, they said. And I just thought it was cool that they used their Instagram to let people know that, because as someone who has been in LA as a visitor, driving around, which is a part of the thing in LA, you have to, driving isn't an inconsequential thing. It's a big part of your planning. So knowing like that quickly that they're not going to be open, because you'd never be able to get that. You'd never assume to look at their website, but you might check out their Instagram to see if something is up. So I thought that was really cool that they were using it to let people know, especially for a museum, which could just as easily not bother, right? And then that's the one or two people that are going to show up are going to be like, dang it. So I think that's super cool. Speaking of super cool, looks like Serbu made 5 more Serbu Super Sorties. There's not going to be any more. So you may be looking at the last 5 Remington Super Shorties. That would suck. Or I guess the last 4, excuse me. Last 4. That's just a barrel. Those are super cool guns. I know 3 or 4 people that own them. Really neat guns. I've shot them a lot. They are really good guns. So the Latino Rifle Association usually sucks butts, but this I thought was a pretty good one. Good post. El Paso Range Day and Range Cleanup. So even if an organization ain't all that great, for the most part, we don't have to agree with everything. They're cleaning up a range. That's freaking cool. Most people just use ranges. Next up is Ed's Manifesto. What was this all about? Was this week? Yeah. So this week they arrested 24 members of one of the cartels down there. And this was a bunch of the stuff that they had. 37 kilos of cocaine. And then somewhere in here it'll say, all these, this was a giant marijuana growing facility. Look at those giant garbage bags of marijuanas. All of these cars and stuff. Bunch of Lamborghinis, I guess. And then 200 police went in there and got them. Customs Tax Agency. This was in Madrid. I know, some of them were in Madrid and some were in Guadalajara. 17 vehicles, 7 million euros. There's no way to know how much that is in real life. And then, anyway, whole bunch of stuff. Thought that was pretty neat. So good to see cartels getting their ass handed to them once in a while. Hopefully it'll last a little bit. But next up is Teresa Inneker reposting DC Project, talking about Elizabeth, or Queen Elizabeth, I guess back in the day, shooting some kind of, I don't know what that is. Somebody knows what it is. It's kind of old European rifle. And then some honking spotting scope with a friend right there. Who's the friend of the Queen? So you can barely hear her, but she's letting you know that she's going into hearings, testimonies on gun control. I seen her sitting behind the one lady, but I didn't see Diana speak. I heard that Teresa was there and that her testimony got removed from the PBS feed for some reason. So from what I understand, only one testimonial was removed from the feed, and that was Teresa Inneker. So what's up with that? Let's see. So then we get Guns and Gadgets posting about it, posting about the coverage. That was cool. Then we got Gun Culture 2.0. This is Professor Yamane, and he posted a picture of the last gun shop in San Francisco. San Francisco sucks butts, and they made it where if you have a gun shop and you go out of business, nobody else, the gun shops can only exist if you're in business now. And then every gun shop that went out of business after now, they couldn't come back into business. So this was the last gun shop that was sort of grandfathered in, and it had gone out of business recently. I don't remember when, but like last couple of years. You know what? I'm coughing the heck out of my cough stuff. Yeah. I'm coughing here really bad. So I am going to run a commercial for, I don't know, Monday? No. What am I going to do a commercial for? The store. And then I'll drink some water. GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. All right, so he took a picture of this gun shop that had closed down, and I asked him if I could use it, so I'm going to be using that picture. Then it looks like a dispensary, marijuana dispensary is going in. So how's that for ironic? Marijuana is going from being illegal across the whole country. I don't even know how many states it's recreationally legal in now, but in San Francisco, gun shops are illegal. Marijuana shops are good to go. So the last gun shop in San Francisco is turning into a bong shop. Let's see. Americans are needed. You can have your voice heard. Representative Nancy Pelosi is forcing the vote for two gun control bills, H.R. 2377 and H.R. 7910, today and tomorrow, 6/8 and 6/9. Call the U.S. Capitol switchboard to be transferred to your House representative. Tell the office you want a response from your representative. You are starting. Wait. Oh, tell the office you want a response from your representative. You are stating you want the representative to vote no on H.R. 2377, H.R. 7910. So that's the actual verbiage to make sure you engage the representative to create the archive of the phone call, I suspect. And then if you want to follow through on that, still a good idea. U.S. Capitol Switchboard is 202-224-3121. So 202-224-3121. So this was posted by S.A. Hinchcliffe, Sharon, and she's not posting a lot. So glad that she's still kicking, and that gives you an idea how important it is to get out there, that all hands are on deck, literally. So if you want to post something effectively, she's got a pretty effective post there if you want to repost it. This is Lucretia talking at the her testimonial at that Senate subcommittee hearing.
And in closing, I claim that nothing can do anything to make us safer or address the mental health crisis in this country. Despite living with the heartache of losing my son on a daily basis, I believe it is our God-given right to defend ourselves from any act of violence. Making it more difficult or even more expensive for me and people that look like me and other law-abiding citizens will not make us safer. It will embolden the criminals. Gun owners are not the enemies, and these gun control policies are not the solution.
She's awesome. That whole idea of like emboldening the bad guys, that's what they don't get. They only see the positives. They think that it's win, 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 win. They don't see that they're creating a victim class. And they don't see it with the 18-year-olds either. Krabby saying that Lucretia did a great job. I believe so. I also. See, there's Diana sitting right behind her. So I don't know what happened. I guess she didn't testify. This is from Come and Talk It, the dude Michael Cargill, who runs the radio show there in Texas. If Biden isn't willing to hold his own son accountable for breaking gun laws, he gets no new ones. It's that easy. So I don't know who this guy is, but he's retweeting some other guy. I don't really follow the Twitter. I don't know if these are people that are like radio people or if they're just people that are on Twitter. I mean, there's people that are just on Twitter, I think. Like their big deal is that they tweet stuff. I just reposted Twitter. I don't actually go to Twitter very often. There's going to be a lot of these. So this is an indication of how effective it can be to get the information out. Once, what is this? C-SPAN posted this. The DC Project copied a chunk of Lucretia's testimony at the end there, where she summed it up quite eloquently that we just listened to, and then made that 46-second clip available on their Instagram. There's third-party apps because Instagram doesn't have this built in, so you can get a third-party, a separate app that attaches to your Instagram, and it'll assist you in reposting. So people like Rebecca here use this repost, and she gave an attribute to the DC project where it comes from. It brings across their post, the video in this case, as well as the description. So it brings in all the text that was written originally with it, and lets Rebecca repost it with attributes, like with footnotes to where it came from on her channel. And this is a way to spread and get more reach for useful content like this one. All right, so I'm going to hit it a couple of times to show how effective that can be. This one's, see, I don't get this. Gun policy. So I guess this is a Republican in Illinois who is okay with AR bans. So basically FPC is letting people know that there's a Republican who's cool with AR-15 bans because he's been influenced by somebody, right? So this is letting people know, here's his 2 phone numbers, and if you're one of his constituents, call right away. And that's pretty much what we want our third-party, our 3-letter organizations to do for us, I suppose. I don't know if that's all we want them to do, but they should certainly be able to do that effectively right away. So this is that DC Project original post. This is the 1 Million Mom account reposting Hold Your Guns. This would have been the view from PBS. I was watching PBS and this was their camera. So Lucretia did an awesome testimonial, but Amy Swearer was there from the Heritage Foundation, and they were there to give expert testimony, like be an expert witness, or to offer information. Amy took a lot of abuse. They didn't bother Lucretia. They let her speak and then let her go. Amy, they kept up there and they kept bugging her and they kept being mean to her, and they were like emotionally mean to her, and she came through it like freaking Iron Man. So, or I guess Iron Lady. So Heritage Foundation is where she works at, or she owns it. I don't really know. But Heritage Foundation is something with a Liberty Bell on it. So it's some kind of Liberty thing or something. If anybody knows what Heritage Foundation is, feel free to let us know. It's got a little check mark next to it, so it's validated on Twitter. Anyway, it says, we oppose these policies precisely because the lives of these victims mattered, because we all want thriving communities where families are flourishing instead of burying their children. Amy has solutions, but the left refuses to listen. And that's basically how Amy, that maybe is some of the quotes from her testimony, but she started her testimony with, I hope I don't have to do this again. This is not my first time testifying. Unfortunately, you ask for my position and then you never act on any of my points. And hopefully this will change. But what we end up seeing is that Amy brought up a lot of interesting challenges or answers or potential solutions, and what ended up happening is the Congress people showed up to really do photo shoots to get some video for their campaigning, and then they left. But they were not doing a lot of time listening. However, the political strategists, I'm sure, were listening to Amy's counterpoints and responses to the persecutions and the accusations, and they're seeing that the conversation on our side is evolving. Their side has not evolved very much, other than I would say there was some attempt to make Amy perjure herself, or to suggest that Amy had perjured herself. That was kind of a new tactic to take out an individual. Maybe the idea is if you take out a competent individual, our side would suffer. While Amy is pretty awesome, she's not the only competent individual on our side. So we have that going for us. But she did awesome. It's worth listening to chunks of that. I would recommend turning on the PBS one and just jump into Lucretia's testimony, then jump into Amy's testimony, and then to the couple of answers that Amy gave. It'll only take you about 12 minutes at the most, and you'll get some really good inspiration and some respect for Amy being able to take it from, politicians who are professionally ruthless to each other. So we got Asian Americans, Pacific Islander, gun owners, and I don't know where this is from, maybe Washington, but it's somebody at some kind of a museum or capitol, and it says armed minorities are harder to oppress or something, but he's got a magpul, some kind of optic and magnifier, an EOTech and a magnifier, and a 60-round magpul or whatever that is, 50-round magpul. So some state where they're cool to have a bunch of guns, I guess. Is it Michigan? I don't remember what capital that looks like. Oh, wait, did it say? So this is Rebecca's, oh, there it is. So she says right here what Gizzard had said earlier, what Gizzard mansplained earlier. Kansas House of Representatives, District 59. So that's pretty cool. I think we're better off with a representative on our side.
Good morning, everyone. This is Tony Simon from the Second is for Everyone Diversity Shoots, Second is for Everyone podcast.
This would have been from probably Thursday when it actually happened. This is from CloverTac, this guy. There are a lot of great people doing a lot of great work with their great programs, organizations that promote and defend the Second Amendment. Please comment below with one of these organizations that you feel does not get enough exposure for the valuable work they're doing. Then he put a bunch of ones that he's in the big pocket of. And then, let's see, we get Crump says DC Project. Then Smeggy says gun policy. And then somebody says thank you for the links. So if you want to post some organizations that you're a fan of, there's Clover's post to do it in. I guess I could do this. Oh, that's what I was going to do this week. Dang it. I'm going to do that at the end. Maybe we'll see how it goes. Am I corking anybody? Does anybody out there know if I'm corking anybody going this late? So next is Come and Talk It Again. House passes sweeping gun reform package, though it's unlikely to move in the Senate. So kind of let's get the word out, but then also let's chill and not be all worried about it vibe, where if you see some of them, it's the exclamation points and the gun control passes Senate. Are we doomed? Question mark, question mark. So next we have the Minuteman moment, which is an element of the Gun Owners America. It says American Accountability Foundation. Diddlebick cared more about padding his pockets than fighting corruption. Imagine what he'll do to the Second Amendment if allowed to head the ATF. And then it's got a picture of Diddleborker and Biden hanging out. Public records show Biden's ATF nominee represented white-collar crooks after claiming to have no tolerance for corruption. So I don't know what the deal is there, but throwing some shade on the bullshit, what do you call this guy? The nominee for ATF. Because it's a big deal to have an ATF head, We haven't had one for 2 whole presidencies. Now we got to have one. It should be an indication we don't need the organization. So I mentioned what's-his-face left himself open for the $5-point-something million worth of money he made holding guns like a jackass. So there's this one. I don't know what movies these are. I don't really like this guy as much as some people. So I've seen some of the movies he's in, but I could take him or leave him, so I don't remember him all that well. But whatever the hell movie this is, I've seen this clip where he's basically just holding an AK one-handed, and I'm pretty sure it's just a full auto AK, and he's just kind of shooting it like a Yahoo, like some kind of spaz in a movie would. And yeah, this kind of dingus, this is his only experience with firearms, is in the magical firearms that are in movie scripts, or the bullshit way that a criminal deals with one in one of his Fantasyland movies. How dare he? How dare he? Oh, let's see. Every state 2A organizations get overlooked when they do so much that the national organizations don't. Yep, or can't really, right?
So glad people are paying attention. It is time to put pressure on our senators to finally act at a federal level. We have sent 700,000 calls into the Senate. We are shutting down the switchboards today. We are having meetings on the Hill, and we're having a rally again tomorrow in front of the Capitol, because it's so important that we finally have action, that we have compromise that will save Americans' lives, right? The data shows us what to do. We have to follow it.
I hear from people all the time who shout at their TVs when these things happen, that do something, that something must be done. What do you tell people who want to be part of the do something push so that they can be involved in this too?
We need every single voice. We need every single vote. And until people go into the polls and vote on this issue, there aren't consequences for inaction, right? So we need every single person to find a part of this work that they're passionate about, through Moms Demand Action or Students Demand Action or any of the groups that are doing this work in this country. And right now, if you're watching us, text the word BOLD to 64433 and we will connect you to your senator, red and blue. Everyone needs to hear from us and know this is a priority.
It is interesting. I was at the NRA convention right after Uvalde, and there are single-issue voters about protecting their Second Amendment rights. We've not seen as much sort of single-issue voters on stopping gun violence, but that does seem to be changing a little bit. I know you talked to Chris Murphy. I know you're watching these negotiations very closely. What's your sense that perhaps this time is different from all the other false starts we've had in Washington?
People keep asking me, are you hopeful? And really what the question is, are we going to require our senators to do what they're elected to do? Do we have the expectation that they will protect us instead of the profits of gun manufacturers? That is my expectation. It should be everyone's. And look, when you look at polling, people support this issue more than any I can think of. Overwhelmingly. Yeah. So yes, they need to vote on this issue, but they also need to realize that too long we've been a silent majority, and this vocal minority has been writing our gun laws. So glad people are paying attention.
So I don't know how many people take the time to watch what the other side gets, but that's a little sample. So Diana Mueller posted this. It's wise to know your opponent. Listen to their well-orchestrated and well-polished procedures. Meetings, rallies, 700,000 calls, shutting down the switchboard, pressure. Here's where they are wrong. They think that they are in the majority because of polling. I think they are in the minority because of voting. Legislators that don't argue or that don't agree with your policies are not lacking in their duty. Maybe they are listening to the people that put them there, like me. Interesting piece at the end with the reporter saying that there are single issue voters to support the Second Amendment versus single issue to stop gun violence. They honestly don't get it, that we can stop violence with a firearm. They cannot. They are at the mercy of any evil that may cross their paths. But the point is, they think we are okay with the violence. Be sure to follow DC Project if you think there's a better way to protect yourself than relying on the government, aka the police, someone with a gun to come help. The gun control package passed by the House last night. Now is the time to call your senators and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, like I say, there's a lot to dissect here. Imagine all the times you see somebody go, oh, I don't have a topic for our show, so let's just shoot the shit. If we remember that these things exist, go like this, go, oh, I'm going to save this. But instead of to one of my other collections, maybe I'll create a collection and call it, dang it. Maybe I'll create a collection eventually when my computer internet slows up here. Create one called Future Live Chat Topics. Right? And now whenever there's a live chat in the future, I can remember, oh, you know what? I've got a topic. I got an Instagram post over there that'll give us a whole bunch of stuff to dig into. So now you've created that saved file, your folder in your Instagram. Every time you come across a post that's fairly interesting, like this one that says, Pts Awareness Month, that 11 to 20% of veterans suffer from PTS. So that's like 1 out of 10 to 2 out of 10, somewhere between 1 and 2 out of every 10 veterans is dealing with some sort of post-traumatic stress. They got rid of the D a while back for people that aren't familiar. So it's not necessarily a disorder as much as a known situation that is being, can be dealt with. So PTS is a cool thing. And if you wanted to talk about that in a future show, we could move it over to that folder. And then in some future show, I'm sitting around going, oh, I wish there was some topic to talk about. I can't think of a topic to talk about. Oh, wait a minute. I can go to my saved folders and look for that folder I called Future Live Chat Topics. And there you go. Now you're using Instagram to help. I don't know why they're not showing up in here, but you can use Instagram to help. There you go, with the literally with your other show, but you're also creating a thing on Instagram that helps. Well, if they were decent, and they weren't a picture of what's her face here. Let's go ahead and delete what's her face. We don't need to promote her too much. Actually, we will leave it in there. But anyway, if they were good topics, you could just leave them in there and you'd be helping spread the word about those topics. I guess that's what I was getting at. We're going to go back to all posts and try to get back to where we were. We're definitely going over. So let's say I don't think anybody said I am corking anybody. There was a bunch this week. This was literally just 1 week. It was kind of a big week, though. All right, so that was there. Wait, how many of these was there? I think that was this one. So now we're going to go on to this weird one. Conservative Wyoming senator rethinking gun legislation after constituents flood her office with calls urging action. Is that the worst headline ever? You don't know what the hell way she's going with it. Cynthia Lummis, a Republican from Wyoming, is seen in an event. So basically, Wyoming senator who's a Republican is saying, I'm getting a lot of phone calls, so I might as well be anti-gun in Wyoming. The hell. So this is gun policy with a very bad post trying to urge people in Wyoming to call Senator Lummis. Diana is saying it's up to all of us to win the hearts and minds of our friends, family, and neighbors. Every one of us has to be able to have kind, articulate conversations that influence. The bottom line is these laws don't work, proven by all the cities with the exact laws in place. Somebody needs to talk to what's-her-face, Lummis. Next is that same guy, except San Diego Gun Owners is posting it. He added, anyone else tired of people who make their money doing this, trying to strip my 2A rights? So tired of insulated celebrities and elitists, people looking down at our Second Amendment and rights. They are not second-class rights. I'm super tired of these idiots spouting off. So somebody getting frustrated and making a meme about it. Next is Rebecca Schmoyer again. If stopping violent attacks were as easy as passing a law, you think that making assault, battery, and murder illegal would have fixed it by now. It's a long way of saying it, but laws don't solve crimes, or they don't prevent crimes. Laws just give you consequences, right? Long or old replies, but across in new ways on new platforms. It's part of the interesting thing to see here. That's nothing more than the old "From My Cold Dead Hands" bumper sticker, except that memes are the new bumper stickers. Nobody looks up from their phones long enough to look at bumper stickers anymore, so you got to put your bumper stickers on your phones. So Come and Talk It, that radio show out of Texas that may or may not be happening right now. The hypocrisy is never ending with these lefties. Don't fall for it. So it's got the fastest things on earth, the cheetah, the airplane, the speed of light, and liberals defending the ideas that only cops should have guns. So I guess that's kind of funny. The strange birth of New York gun laws. So the AAPI in 1911, Article 400, aka the Sullivan Act, mandated police-issued licenses for handguns and made it a felony to carry an unlicensed concealed gun. Written to target Italian immigrants, curb Italian mob activity, it was known it would not be effective. Being that many New York City Council members ran their elections on equity, justice for all, and many believe that systematic racism exists, would this not be an example of it? We believe that Americans are created equal, but what do the New York City Council members think of this law on the books? So this is an article from 2012 talking about the birth of the New York gun laws. This article from 2012 says, recent months have seen a former Marine from Indiana, a Tea Party activist from California, and a nurse from Tennessee all arrested and charged in New York for possession of firearms they had legal permits to carry back home. All were nabbed when they naively sought to check the weapon with security. These innocents fell afoul of the nation's toughest gun laws, but few New Yorkers know how these laws came to be. The father of New York gun control was Democratic City Big Tom Sullivan, a state senator, and Tammany Hall Crook, a criminal overseer of the gangs in New York. In 1911, in the wake of a notorious Gramercy Park blue blood murder-suicide, Sullivan sponsored the Sullivan Act, which mandated police-issued licenses for handguns and made it a felony to carry an unlicensed concealed weapon. This was the heyday of pre-prohibition gangs, roving bands of violent toughs who terrorized ethnic neighborhoods and often fought pitched battles with police. In 1903, the Battle of Remington Street pitted a Jewish gang, the Eastmans, against the Italian Five Pointers. When the cops showed up, the two underworld armies joined forces and blasted away, resulting in 3 deaths and scores of injuries. The public was clamoring for action against the gangs. Problem was the gangs worked for Tammany. The Democratic machine used them as shark sluggers, enforcing discipline at the polls and intimidating the opposition. Gang leaders like Monk Eastman were even employed as informal sheriffs, keeping their turf under Tammany control. The Tammany Tiger needed to rein in the gangs without completely crippling them. Enter Big Tim with the perfect solution. Disarm the gangs and ordinary citizens too, while still keeping them on the streets. So that's interesting. So anyway, that's another look back at something that, didn't have anything to do with maybe what's going on this week, except maybe from the whole New York thing, maybe, but more like just another look back at history. And got to be consistently doing that, because if you wait for a break in the stress or a break in the push, the other side's never going to give up. So got to keep looking at multiple things when you can. So I like to post some of these things that are paying attention to stuff that's important, while the urgent stuff is always happening. Next one is from Utah shooters. Gun control 2 years after forced lockdowns, quarantines, and travel restrictions. You got to be a real dummy not to get the picture. I don't know who posted that, but that's pretty good perspective on it. So they're asking for gun control. Actually, they asked for a lot of gun control. Just months really after forced lockdowns, quarantines, travel restrictions, and it wasn't as though they got everything they wanted and more. They got a portion of what they were asking for, and they wanted a lot more restriction. So it's going to be interesting to see how long people remember and how long that bothers people. Some people didn't get bothered. Some people dug it. Some people really like the idea the state can do whatever they want, right? Let's see. This one is Triggerology posting a post.
Cannot purchase a semi-automatic firearm for their own self-defense. So here's my question. At what age does someone gain the ability to defend themselves? Regardless of the tool, okay? Because if you have a right to defend yourself, that is a natural right to be able to defend yourself. The tool should not matter. You should be able to use any and all tools available to you. And so the government should not be getting in your way from attaining those tools.
Good points, hard to argue with. And again, great to see different people putting it out there different ways, like calmly, factually, some people putting it out there with a bunch of stress. I'm sure that gets through to some people. helps people to hear the stressful ones, but I don't care about them so much. So it's cool to see people putting it out there and breaking it down in interesting ways. AAPI gun owners, again, it begs the question, why are these politicians trying to scare New Yorkers and all other U.S. citizens for that matter if background checks are already being conducted via NICS through FBI? And I'm not totally sure what this one's revolved to, or what this one is referring to, but FNICS. FNICS shouldn't exist. And anybody who's thinking that more background checks and blah, 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 we need to start. This is the perfect time to push back on background checks. They are not able, willing, or competent to describe the situation today, period. Make them start to defend it. Make them start to justify the money spent, the time spent, the rights infringed upon. This is ridiculous. They're justifying whole new things on something that's shaky to begin with. The fact that they didn't win is all the indication we should be pushing on those unstable foundations, destroying what they've got as far as this garbage NICS waste of time theater, which considers all gun owners criminals until the government deems you're not a criminal when it's not wrong. It's ridiculous and it's repulsive. You need to get rid of it. That's why I put that one in there. Next is Rebecca Schmoyer again, saying House Representative just sold your sovereignty for pseudo safety. Your federal senators need to hear how upset you are about that. Congressional switchboard, in case you haven't heard, is 202-224-3121. So you could call the congressional switchboard anytime by the number 202-224-3121. You can call them anytime, and then the little robot takes you right to your senator, and then you can say, I am against the red flag bill. I am against the ill-named child safety one. I forgot the numbers already, but the two numbers is probably a better way to say it. It took me 3.5 minutes to call. I'll probably call again. Maybe I'll record it, and then I'll tell you how long that one took. This is from NSSF, their post about Lucretia's testimony. The U.S. House Oversight Committee Chairwoman Carolyn Maloney held a recent gun control hearing. She's currently locked in a fierce incumbent on incumbent primary election battle with Nadler. The two Manhattanites are trying their hardest to out-gun control one another. Maloney's committee hearing involved survivors of criminal violence, including those involved in the recent tragedies, I call atrocities, in New York and Texas. Testimony was also provided by the DC projects Lucretia, and horrible stuff happened to her. She testified for the need for people, especially women, to be able to defend themselves and their families against criminals that don't follow any of the laws being considered by Maloney's committee. Hughes told the committee that there are laws already on the books that needed to be enforced, that education is the key to safety, not ineffective legislation. Her son's death resulted from a criminal with an evil heart and a justice system failing to hold him accountable for laws he had already broken. The laws being discussed today are already implemented in cities across the country. We have decades of evidence proving they do not work. Some of her testimony. Maloney remained adamant about pushing more gun control on law-abiding Americans. Measures include a so-called assault weapons ban, magazine capacity restrictions. Okay, blah, blah, blah. President Biden delivered a national address last week that was largely seen as unhelpful. Meanwhile, in the U.S. Senate, senators are taking a deliberate, measured approach to find common ground to prevent future tragedies. So, I don't know. They're kind of sidestepping. They did focus on it, but then they didn't really call to action. So I don't know what you want from NSSF. I kind of like to see more from NSSF, but I guess we're not going to. Bannerman Trust. This is the Bannerman Castle. This is the walkway that the guys, from the people from West Point put together for them. I think. I'm almost positive. So it's a cool little bridge that never existed back in the old days, but now it exists. And somebody took fancy color picture of the sunset on the island. It would be cool to be hanging out on Bannerman Island. I put this in here to test everything out, and it looks like it worked. The other day was John Wayne's birthday, and pretty soon it'll be the 11th. What today's today? I guess it was the other day was the anniversary of his passing. Yesterday was the anniversary of his passing. Krabby Turtle, who it turns out we all know who it is now, posted this about Maryland shall issue, is a self-defense organization is a gun owners' rights organization in Maryland, and it looks like they're holding a Women on Target event. Does it tell us the date? Where's the date? It says 8:30 to sign in, noon, scanning. Am I crazy? There's no date on here. Or no. Registration. I don't know when the date is. So you have to click on it to find the date. So good luck. Good job, Maryland shall issue. You didn't put the date on here. We know the time, though. Looks like they're going to have some sort of a sign-in with a classroom, and then Q&A, and then pizza and salads for Rob, and then some more range time.
I'll answer the first portion of your question. As far as we're concerned, like we stated earlier, we're talking about individuals that are true trigger pullers. Quite often, more than once, the vast majority are still in. We did have cooperation with the DAs in regards to these individuals, but like Mr. Mayor said, leading up to these takedowns, a lot of these individuals had 3, 4, sometimes 5 gun arrests. So once we incorporate them into the takedowns, they usually stay in, but for the most part, they have that record behind them. And
4 and 5 arrests. So they go to us. There's so many gun crimes. 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 Did I say that 5 times? That's one dude who did 5 gun crimes, and they're holding it against us 5 times for one dude. Right? This is stupid math, and they're playing with it. They're playing with stupid math, I'm telling you. Anyway, this is a API posting this. I don't know what this is actually from, but it's a good illustrative example from a cop. I'm almost positive that's a cop, right? Saying what the deal is. Oh, there's so many gun crimes from single people. Get rid of them single people. Now, you also can't do this blindly. We have 1/4 of the whole planet's prison population in the United States. So the answer isn't just throw more than 1/4 of the entire population of the Earth's prison into our prisons. If you hate paying for things as a government, then why you want to pay for criminals? So the answer isn't to just throw everybody into prison. The answer is to work the systems out. This is BS options they give us. You either have guns or you have the largest criminal population ever. Nah, you don't need to have those two. There's lots of other things. Think outside a box. All right, what's this one? A small number of people. So this is probably from that same... I don't know what this is from. Somebody know what this is actually from?
Here, they are at the heart of what I have been stating for some time. It's a small number of people who have made up their minds that they are going to inflict violence on our city. And ladies that are here, they are at the heart of what I have been stating.
Again, this is delusional that they think that the gun owner is the problem when it's the individuals that are super violent that are the problem. So get rid of the super violent individuals, stop them from being super violent, and you're good to go. We're done. They don't want to solve that because then it takes away all the numbers. They can't persecute us, the normal law-abiding non-criminals. All right, next up is gun policy. Make sure the Senate hears you. StopSteve.com. So this is Steve Angus, or no, Senator Angus King. Is this independent from Maine? After meeting with Mr. Dolblich, reviewing his record closely, and monitoring his testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, I am confident that he has the experience and temperament required to lead the ATF with distinction. What the fuck? Independent? My ass. That sounds like a bootlicker right there. That's horrible. Because there's nothing about Diddlebick's testimony or whatever that was made anybody confident about nothing unless they're a massive bootlicker. So this guy is fake. I don't know who this guy is, but Maine, what the hell, man? Wake up, Maine. You be to Canada if you keep acting like this. We won't give them to Canada. We'll make Canada pay handsomely. We'll make Canada give back all gun laws, get rid of all gun laws, give back all guns, and then they can have Maine. And then that guy will be pissed because then he'll have to go live with Canada with all kinds of guns. Sucker. Let's see. So this is some sort of meme. The kids love SpongeBob. So if you want to get across to the kids these days, you got to use a SpongeBob meme. So this is a cartoon that the kids used to listen to. We are proud to be part of the CEO. This is fucking Levi's. So stupid ass Levi's never wear Levi's clothes. They go out of their way to fund anti-gun stuff. They think it's cool to be anti-gun. That's their favorite thing, is to be anti-gun and tell everybody about how anti-gun the whole company is. So if you like guns and you're wearing Levi's, come on, man. What the hell? So this was Levi's being another nuisance about everything on the Twitter, I guess. So this is the way the kids go, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Burn the knowledge of my opponent, like, or my adversary. Like, what the hell? So some kind of defeatist, weird cartoon crap. But anyway, Levi sucks. So now we're going to get a bunch of these. There was this suggestion, or I guess what's her face was talking about. Remember earlier in the show when we seen the lady that worked for Monsanto who got hired by Bloomberg to run the fake grassroots organization that hates our rights? She was saying how everybody was going to go to some fake rally, that Bloomberg was paying a bunch of people to go to a fake rally. Well, to counter that optic, 1 Million Moms, DC Project, Mom at Arms, NSSF, I think, lots of people promoted this concept of going and having a responsible gun owners day. And I guess they're using this kind of weird orange color. Go to the range, take a new class, take some pew pew pics. That's the 9mm of things to say. And share them. Tag your favorite pro 2A accounts, call your representatives, use the hashtags. Responsible gun owners, hashtag responsible gun owners day. All right. So then there's another thing. Oh, some other guy. Oh, that's that guy from before saying, calling all Americans to join me for the gun owners day. Yeah, I don't think I've ever owned Levi's. I think back in the day, everybody wore Wranglers, but I don't remember because it was a long time ago. As soon as I figured out you didn't have to wear jeans, I quit wearing jeans. I don't like jeans. They're only good for not wearing out. You know, they're strong or whatever. All right, so this is the DC project. I don't know what this is. Probably a bunch of girls shooting at a range, probably. Today we went to encourage all of our followers to join in on Responsible Gun Owners Day. We have to fight back against the mainstream narrative that gun owners are bad people. The truth is, we are responsibly armed citizens who enjoy freedom and are prepared to protect life. Thank you to the NSSF and whoever that other guy is, father of one of the Parkland victims. That's who that guy is, for organizing this. Join us by showing your support. So basically, they got NSSF or somebody got one of the Parkland people to offset the Hog Kid. So the Hog Kid is using as exploiting the fact that he existed when that atrocity happened, and he's capitalizing on it, making his fame from it. So this is somebody who is also affected by that and is not being an a-hole from it. So you got a bunch of ladies from the DC Project. Why are they dressing up like rabbits? Probably something I'm not figuring out. Is this Easter? It's not Easter. Look at these cool teal Howard lights. I didn't know that Howard Light made a teal. When did they make that just for them? That's pretty cool. So I don't know if this is pictures from their range day. Yeah, see, some of these say 2020. So these might be older pictures, just kind of example pictures of times when they've been at the range together. But either way, it's a good optic to show that, gun owners are better than people that obscure the facts and marginalized gun owners. So here's a place in Pennsylvania, Keystone Freedom. I think I met that guy in Phoenix one time. Let's see. Then is Georgia2A.org, which used to be Open Carry Georgia. Wait, is that what it was called? No, it used to be called Concealed Carry Georgia. Dang, now I can't remember what it used to be called, but now it's GA2A. Save the date, 13th Annual GA2A Convention, September 9th and 10th, somewhere Kennesaw, Georgia. So the 13th Annual GA2A, I think it used to be Georgia Carry, that's what it used to be called. Conventions is September 9th and 10th, so that's pretty cool. So good to see that a national level or a state level organizations bringing people together for their 13th annual event. In Tucson, or in Arizona, our Arizona Citizens Defense League has one once a year. I think it's in October usually, and it'll rotate between Phoenix and Tucson, the only two real cities in Arizona. I don't know what it does in Georgia, if it moves around or not. So Father's Day is next week, and Sportsman's Guide supports us, and they've been supporting us for a while. They support others. They don't support us like entirely, but they throw a couple of bucks at us, and we appreciate it. So I don't put ads or nothing out for them, but I do like to mention that they are a cool company, and if you are going to be buying something like an outdoor thing or something cool that they might have in their catalog, I've been there. They gave me a tour of the place. It's super cool, and they're good people, and it's a giant company, but they give a crap. They seem to make sure that their gear is decent. I've always appreciated their surplus stuff, but once I've seen the facilities, I mean, I know their stuff is tight. Bunch of robots. It's good harmony of robots and workers, regular people, and good prices. So yeah, like I say, if we get paid a couple of bucks each month, they support what we're doing, and like to let people know, especially when it's Father's Day coming up. We don't have any codes or links or nothing. I think we do have links on some of the websites, but however you get there, enjoy what you get there. Mom at Arms. Oh, so this is Beth, who is, I think she's XOXO Beth. I don't know if she is part of Mom at Arms. I forget what organizations she's with, but I've seen her for a while now. And it looks like she went up to Mom's Demand booth at some sort of an event, and they were giving away NSSF Project Child Safe locks.
Are you a gun owner?
Yes.
So we're giving out gun locks if you need them, especially if you have children in your home. To demonstrate English.
It's kind of interesting that you guys are using NSSF for the child safe stuff. Do you know who NSSF is? Okay. No, I just asked because I know you guys have attached the gun industry, and like we're literally giving out the locks I pay for. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, there's nothing you can do here. Yeah. Thank you.
There's nothing you can do here, sweetie. So there's really nothing she could have done, but it is interesting that she's discovered that they're using NSSF locks. So in other words, the antis are using guns or gun locks from the gun industry's organization to suggest that the gun industry doesn't do anything. So here's some locks. They're idiots. So, I mean, if anybody can read is going to take that gun lock and look at the paperwork that comes in the cellophane with it, or go investigate, and they're going to figure out that the actual gun industry has actually provided that lock, and that they were handed it by someone who doesn't even realize that. So it's fun to see it, but I wouldn't be too worried, because anybody valuable that's going to encounter that is going to realize that they're a scam. It's pretty self-evident. AAPI posting that same thing about the range day. And that gets us to the end. This is the one I saved twice. So unsave it now. So this chick got paid by Monsanto, international company that would go around doing heinous shit, and she was their PR lady until Bloomberg paid her more to act like she's grassroots. Crazy. Let's close it up with Pts Awareness Month. So this month is Post-Traumatic Stress Awareness Month. They used to call it Post-Traumatic Stress Syndrome, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. However, they dropped the disorder part, because a lot of people can get post-traumatic stress, the same way you can get a muscle stress or a bone fracture or something. And instead of creating a bunch of stigma that keeps people from addressing it or gives people unneeded marginalization because of it, it's easier to just deal with it like you would a broken leg or a weird chemical imbalance or something. So symptoms are flashbacks, nightmares, feeling on edge, trouble sleeping, hypervigilance, overwhelming guilt or shame, loss of interest in enjoyable activities, self-destructive behavior, staying away from places, events, or objects that are reminders of the experience, having difficulty sleeping or having angry outbursts, negative thoughts about oneself or the world, or feeling emotionally numb. So, these are kind of symptoms that can apply to a lot of things, and nobody's going to have necessarily every symptom. But if we want to remove any stigma about mental health issues, or particularly post-traumatic stress, the stress that you get after dealing with something that's traumatic, something that causes trauma, right? You can get brain trauma, you can get trauma to your circulatory system, you can get, broken and bent in pieces and get trauma that way. So your brain can get trauma if you have to experience things, or you end up experiencing things that are pretty weird or horrible or fast or gruesome or really lame. I mean, you can get trauma from just having to endure horrible stuff and then find out that it was pointless. You don't have to necessarily be some kind of, action hero athlete thing and then, have some adventure. You can get stress from lots of different things. So dealing with it, right? How do you deal with it? So I guess there's different support things. I'm no doctor, but I know that there's things out there. So my suggestion is, if any of those symptoms are creeping up on you, or if you're seeing more than one of them, it's probably an opportunity or an indication to reach out. And Ghost usually mentions some of the phone numbers and things. I'm sure they're out there. Again, I'm not going to suggest everyone's having issues, but it's something to think about and something to have casual conversations about. And something to look for in others, right? So if you notice somebody's freaking out or having issues, it's kind of obvious, but it's worth taking the time to mention. If they're your friends and you value them as humans, it's worth saying, hey man, what's up? Hey lady, what's going on? Hey, let's go out to eat, or let's go smoke a cigarette, or whatever it is, and chat. The hell, half the time, just for me at least, just getting it off your head, getting it out of your brain, putting it out there, makes it something tangible that you can see all sides of it, so there's lots of ways you can help without having to be a doctor or some sort of therapist. All right, with that, I will end it. I hope everybody is having a good weekend. We're living in some interesting times for sure. Instagram is an interesting way to monitor the different things that are happening. That was the stuff that I thought was the best for the week. I'm just going to scroll through the feed here so you can get an idea of some of the accounts that I follow. So I follow Shooting Parasport. That's an international shooting organization for folks that are differently abled in all different kinds of ways. So they adapt the shooting to different types of situations for folks. It's super interesting to see the people enjoying it and the preparations, and then the different localities. They do that stuff internationally all over the world. So it looks like Crump is posting clothes or something. Got Locked and Loaded coming up this evening, it looks like, with Walk the Talk America. That's one of my favorite Second Amendment focused podcasts each week. So they're going to have Jake and Michael on from Walk the Talk America, which is an excellent organization on our side. We've got Gun Toting Pacifist, one of the Gun Channel's folks. Minuteman Moment is that Gun Owners of America. Got Gun Policy. Got Crump again. Teresa Inneker, New Jersey, DC Project, and one of the New Jersey organizations. Guns for Everyone posting again. Jared, got Rebecca Schmoyer, Gun Policy again. Shepherd Arms is Argo J, his shop that he's the manager of up in Wisconsin. New gun shop. Got Gun Freedom Radio, podcast that does a lot of interviewing of people. Got Mike from Walk the Talk America posting about the podcast he's going to be on. Guns for Everyone. Not getting a lot of a lot of assortment. Got Black Guns Matter. Definitely got to whip past that one because I'll probably get copyrighted. The Complete Combatant is Shelley and Brian. Why can't I remember his name? Somebody and Shelley, who are firearms instructors. They also host the Mingle. We talked about that a couple weeks back. She Fires, new YouTuber who's going out and experiencing stuff and documenting it. We got the Voluntarism in Action. I think that's the name of it. VIA, Voluntarianism in Action. So it's a bunch of people that encourage voluntary acts of kindness for each other. So helping each other out voluntarily. I don't know if that's the opposite of like an anarchist or something, but it's an interesting thread or an interesting channel to follow. Let's see. People disguised as federal agents were found hiding in back of the U-Haul in transit to do something that would make the news and all normal people would believe is real. This happened in Idaho the other day. Does anyone have more information on the outcome of this scenario? Obviously, they are not going to report it, and it won't make the news. Interesting. Has anybody ever heard about this? People disguised as federal agents found hiding in the back of a U-Haul in Idaho. Huh. I have not heard about that one. Interesting. Utah shooters is a group of people up in Utah. Let's see. Before reaching the tents where police were collecting, most people. Oh, so this is talking about the gun buyback in Utah. This will be interesting. Before reaching the tents where the police were collecting guns, most people walked past individuals offering to buy the guns for cash instead of a gift card. Some of these people were hoping to talk about the benefits of owning and carrying a gun, and others were looking to get a new gun or a gun they could sell and make some profit. One group, Utah 2A Alliance, was hoping to take pistols that they bought, clean them up, and give them to teachers and school employees at a free concealed carry class geared towards them they are hosting on July 9th. The Alliance is a coalition of Utah firearms education organizations and firearms businesses. Clark, somebody said that concealed carry classes for teachers they hosted over the 10 years had hundreds of people in attendance. He said schools in Utah are defended, and he wants the public to know. So how cool is that? Utah shooters showed up at this stupid-ass gun buyback in Salt Lake City. The audacity to have a gun buyback in Utah. It amazes me. And luckily, the people from Utah were grabbing them guns before they got destroyed. But looks like the Utah 2A Alliance was gathering guns and using them to give to teachers and school people. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. This was a post that you might have seen around from Bearing Arms that mentioned how Teresa Inneker's testimony was removed, or at least wasn't offered.
Because I believe that
this is Diana Mueller being asked, how can you be in favor of gun ownership as a Christian?
worth protecting. I believe you as a mother want to protect your children, and there is evil in the world, and it is up to good people to stop evil. Evil will prevail if good people do nothing.
Let's see. The far left is planning an insurrection. They're in meetings now, briefing militants to blockade access to the Supreme Court. They're trying to shut down the Supreme Court on Sunday, June 12th. Is that today? Is that happening? Shut down DC, along with showing up for radical justice, Rainforest Action Network, Ruth Sent Us, Extinction Rebellion, blah, 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 a bunch of organizations. Major rulings on abortion and gun control expect to be handed down. I think I seen something where they had a map where they were showing like where you could go to make sure that nobody could get in or out, where you could make sure nobody could go in or out of the Supreme Court. That's pretty messed up. So that was Gray Man Brief. That's a page that follows news and stuff. Guns and Gadgets, talking about that organization. This is some girls doing girl stuff. Then Ed's Manifesto. Please be careful. Do not let the pig enter the raccoon room. Do not try to hold or put the raccoon on your head. It's not the raccoon's choice, not yours. Only lucky people will be able to enjoy that kind of moment. And what that's all about, let's see. I'm just asking a girl standing in front of a target. I'm just a girl standing in front of a target asking it to be down 0. So give a plus to that one, and that'll be the first one for next week. This lefty pistolero, some guy that goes to gun site all the time and keeps posting interesting gun site pictures and stuff, kind of alternates. It's kind of a cool channel. He'll alternate a picture and then a text, and then a picture and then a text. Have you followed many pages that do this, that put some real thought into the layout of their channel? I've done it before. If you scroll down my Instagram, I've done stuff like this before, but I can't keep it up. I don't like it that much, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, especially if you're reacting to things. You can do this if you plan your posts, but it's tougher when you react to stuff. All right, well, that hit over the 2-hour mark. That's way too long for this kind of thing. I try to do this to get the stuff off of Instagram over onto other platforms, because then I'll take this video and I'll put this video on other platforms. So that gets Instagram on multiple video platforms. I haven't been putting this up as a podcast because it's so visual, but I have been putting the Daily Gun Show up on all the different podcast platforms. Also, Ask Gun Questions, the good ones, go up onto the podcast distribution places. So if you're somebody that listens to podcasts, go check out Daily Gun Show. Check out the other stuff that's out there. There's lots and lots of gun podcasts. We've got some posts coming up on the various platforms that'll send you to those. Check them out. We've got other radio shows, as I mentioned earlier in this show, that happened today on YouTube. So check out Eye on the Target Radio. Check out Come and Talk It. Check out Gun Owners Radio. Check out what's the one I'm missing? I'm missing one. Oh, Liberty Watch Radio. Duh. Charles. It already happened, though, so you can't check it out. Then you'll have Rapid Fire Radio on Wednesday. So those are a bunch of radio shows. You can also listen to Locked and Loaded Latinos are on soon. And I don't think I'm missing anything. I might be missing something. But thanks for listening, tuning in. We'll be back to pick you. I don't think I missed anybody in the chat. But if I did, sorry about that. Otherwise, be back to pick you up later.
Tonight's episode, That Was No Lady.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on Gunstreamer.com or on GunTube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching GunWebsites.com.